Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. We're going to be talking about the news of possibly Roberto Firmino leaving Liverpool. Could that happen this summer? Well, reports are starting to snowball on this. Rumours are starting to flare on this potential issue for Liverpool that Roberto Firmino could be leaving Liverpool this summer, mainly because Liverpool are potentially looking to cash in on Firmino whilst he's in the final year of his contract. News has started to spin on this about Juventus being linked with a move for the Brazilian international, and that a fee of 25 million euros could be set to be on the table for Liverpool to consider. And Liverpool are said to be considering Firmino's future, whether it is to offer him a new contract, which he seemingly will have to prove he deserves, or whether it is to actually cash in on him this summer whilst they have the chance. We've already seen this happen in both ways this summer, with obviously Sadio Mane in the final year of his contract leaving, mainly because he wanted to, but Liverpool also cashed in on him whilst they could. And of course, Mohamed Salah signing a new contract when he was in the final year of his contract as well. So it is going to be interesting to see what happens with Firmino going forward. Before we talk more about this story though, I would like to remind you, please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. Now let's get into this story. It's very interesting. Like I say, the latest rumours is that Juventus are said to be interested. Now, whether this is true or not remains to be seen, but this seems to be a bit more of a snowballing story than what many people are thinking. Juventus are seemingly interested. There's seemingly 25 million euros that's being discussed about being tabled by the Italian club, and that Liverpool are said to be considering to cash in on him whilst he is a player of theirs. There was also rumours that Liverpool were considering offering a new contract, but it seems that maybe if he does stay for the final year, he'd have to prove he deserves one, prove that he'll have to earn one going forward. There's a lot more factors to that. Whether it's Liverpool wanting to keep him, whether Firmino himself wants to stay or not, or whether he seeks a new challenge elsewhere. He is 30 years of age. He's going to be 31 by the end of next season. And of course, he'll have to obviously work out where his future within Liverpool would lie should he decide to stay. Obviously, with the addition of Darwin Núñez this summer, it seems that Liverpool are changing their approach a little bit in terms of having that false number 9 figure that they've played for so many years under Jurgen Klopp, and obviously a role and a position that Roberto Firmino has executed phenomenally since obviously his sort of change into that role. Obviously, for the past couple of years or so, he's also had a tough couple of years with injuries and being run into the ground a little bit. He's had a bit of a stop-start season, especially this past campaign where we only played 35 games in all competitions, scoring 11 goals and assisting 5 times, which, considering his playing time, isn't exactly that bad. He also had a few very, very good games in which he was the difference maker in. But we kind of got to see as Liverpool fans this season what life would be like without Firmino in big portions of the season. So it is kind of interesting that we got to see that, and we get to see and talk about this kind of debate happening. And so, of course, with his age of 30, with the injuries that he's been racking up, and obviously with Liverpool's new signings, not just Darwin Núñez, who is their shiniest and newest acquisition, but also the kind of young prospects they're bringing through, the likes of Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, and obviously Fabio Carvalho as well. It's interesting to see what Firmino's role would be this season if he decides to obviously stay that long, and obviously to see where his game time would lie, how it would decrease over time, and if he would actually move position. Firmino is very versatile. He could drop deeper into that midfield if he wants. He could play on the wing. He's not exactly he's not more well suited to that role, and it's not really sustainable over a longer period of time, I don't think. But he has proven that he can play out there and do a job for the Reds when it comes to. So his versatility could keep him at Liverpool, obviously, going forward. But it would be a real shame if he was to leave. It would be a real shame because he's a fan favourite at the club for a lot of fans. For me personally, he's one of my favourite players that I've seen. I can't say, or no one really can say a bad word about him on the pitch. His work rate, his unselfishness, and the way that he seems to be a core figure within that squad. He seems to be well respected and well loved by everybody within that squad. And of course for his mad goal celebrations as well. They've all made him a real fan favourite with the Liverpool faithful, and he seems to be, like I say, a well loved and respected member of the squad by his teammates, and obviously Klopp loves him and the coaching staff I bet love him as well. So it would be a real shame the day that he does leave, for all of those reasons. Obviously, across his time at Liverpool, he's since signing for them back in 2015, he's played 327 times in all competitions for the club. He scored 98 goals and assisted 74 times. One of the most successful Brazilian players that the Premier League has seen. And across the years as well, he scored some very big and important goals and created some very big and important assists as well for the club. That have really helped Liverpool in their journey towards winning pretty much everything in recent years. So he's been a very big part of the Liverpool squad. He's been a vital member of the Liverpool squad. He's basically been playing that false number 9 role and that kind of unique role that's been set up by Jurgen Klopp and everything. A massive part of the system, of his system, and has been, like I say, a massive cog in that sort of Liverpool machine since obviously Jurgen Klopp arrived and said, you're going to be my striker, but we're going to alter your role a little bit to obviously accommodate for everybody else in the team. And that unselfishness has played through and shined through throughout his time at the club. He's a player who I believe the majority of fans outside of Liverpool don't really understand or respect as much as probably what they should. He's one of those players that unless you see him play week in, week out for your team, you don't really get to see the full picture, the bigger picture of what Firmino brings to the table, what he brings to your squad. Many people see him starting up front for Liverpool and they do question why he doesn't score more goals. And at some stages during his Liverpool career and at some stages during Jurgen Klopp's reign as manager, you can understandably see that argument at times, but often they do miss the bigger picture, and it's what he offers the team in terms of his work rate, pressing from the front, that counter pressing style of play, the link-up play that he possesses, where he can drift to the left and he can link up with the likes of Robertson and Thiago and Mane, or he can drift out to the right and he can link up with Henderson and Trent Alexander-Arnold and Mohamed Salah. It's all of those sort of little details that often gets missed, as well as being so unselfish that he creates space for others, creates goals for others. That kind of thing often gets missed by rival fans and neutral fans alike. And it's just something that I wish he just got more respect for outside of the Liverpool fan base, because his overall ability is incredible. Like his skill, his touch, his technical ability, his movement, his flair, like I say, with his link-up play and with that Brazilian style of play, that Brazilian flair and that Brazilian sort of, like I say, technical ability that he all possesses, all comes together to create one hell of a player. And I just don't think he gets respected enough outside of that Liverpool fan base. They are all worthy assets to him and to the Liverpool squad, and that's why he's been a key player in this Liverpool squad for the past several years that he's been there. As well as, like I say, having a key instinct to score big and important goals as well. He does it all. He does it all, and I just, like I say, I don't think he quite got the respect he deserves from outside of the Liverpool fan base. What I will say about this is that whether it's true or not about the links to Juventus or the links to elsewhere, and I do believe that Firmino could do a job in any league. I think if wherever Firmino decides to go, he'll do a very good job wherever he goes. If he stays at Liverpool, he'll do a very good job. If he goes to Serie A, he'll do a very good job. Spain, whether he goes back to Brazil, I don't care where he goes, he will do a very good job because of the type of player that he is and the kind of adaptability that he has, the versatility he has and everything. But what I will say about this is that it's very interesting that this news has obviously snowballed following what's happened with Mohamed Salah. Obviously, this news comes off the back of Mohamed Salah signing a new contract over the weekend and everything. And it's very interesting to me that obviously journalists have kind of looked down the list at big players that could be on the move from Liverpool or their contracts are set to expire, and they've picked their next target. That could possibly be a reason why. Maybe there is no interest from Juventus. Maybe there's sort of a look into him or whatever it may be. But it's interesting that obviously Firmino's name is now being really talked about off the back of Salah putting his saga to bed with a new contract signing over the weekend. Look, in my opinion, Firmino seems to be the type of player who's genuinely happy at Liverpool and has been very happy at Liverpool ever since he arrived at the club. Doesn't seem like the kind of player to kick up a fuss about a move. He seems to, if he wanted to move, I think he'll do it in the most respectful way possible because the fans adore him, and I think that feeling is mutual. He adores the fans back. And obviously within that squad, he's got very close friends. He's got his family over here. I think that his life is perfectly set up in Liverpool. But obviously if Liverpool decide to change, and I think that if he feels like he needs a new challenge elsewhere, I think he'll go about doing that in the most respectful way possible. But I also think that a lot of this would lie on his playing time. He could be like a James Milner type player, where he continues to play on for years to come and just be that backup guy that can fill in multiple roles across the board for Liverpool. And I think that maybe that could be something he could look into and something that might be discussed between Liverpool and him when the time comes to discuss his future. Because I just think that he could do a job still. I think obviously his injuries haven't played a positive role in his career the past few years. But obviously I just think that he can do a job for the club when it comes to his versatility, his experience, his ability, and his quality. All of those things are still perfect for this Liverpool side in a lot of respects. And I still think that he would do a job for Jurgen Klopp, and I still think Klopp would love him to be a part of the squad if obviously he can take a more reduced role kind of thing within obviously his playing time and everything. But do remember, like, he has still proven this season that he can still change games, whether it's as a starter or whether it's coming off the bench. So do remember that with there being 5 subs this season, that he can still play a massive role in Liverpool's season going forward and still adds quality from the bench and strength and depth. So there is a lot to think about when it does come to this kind of issue. For me though, right now, I think the squad is perfectly balanced. It can be improved upon, of course it can. But whether that's realistically possible within this transfer window, whether Liverpool have the funds for that, whether Liverpool have the insight and the inside knowledge of certain players being available or not, remains to be seen. But you'd have to imagine that if they do decide to get rid of Firmino, then that would mean that they're going to have to dive into the transfer market again. And Liverpool only go into the transfer window if the right player is available at the right time. So unless they've got some sort of replacement lined up, don't expect to see Firmino leaving this summer. I don't think he'll leave this summer. Whether I think he'll sign a new contract or not is another thing. I think that lies more heavily on Firmino. I think Liverpool would love to keep him signed on, as long as he can agree to a more reduced sort of role in the starting 11, a backup player, helps the youngsters come through. It just depends what Firmino sees his future. Obviously, like I say, with him entering into his 30s now, it will be interesting times ahead for one Roberto Firmino. But I love the guy, and I hope that he stays at the club until he retires, pretty much, because I just think that he's a player that deserves it and can fill in that role until that day where he decides to retire, unless he wants to go. And I think maybe going to any league, he'll do a job. Maybe going back to Brazil is what he would prefer as well. Remains to be seen what the future holds for one Roberto Firmino. But as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the news that Roberto Firmino could be leaving Liverpool this summer? Where do you see his future lying? Do you see him signing on a new contract at Liverpool and staying on at the club? Or do you see him going elsewhere? Maybe to the links of Juventus, or maybe to somewhere else, maybe even back home to Brazil. I'd love to know you guys' thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it on this particular topic down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit that like button on the way out if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and for be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video.